And because it's MV Agusta, there's always a story. Huge apologies for the lack of updates on this channel. My job has just been bananas lately, and I have barely had time to ride a motorcycle, much less film and edit videos about them. So, where were we? Let's start with the F3. The new engine is still running great. I've got about 2,500 miles on it at this point, and there have been no problems. Now let's talk about the bodywork. After the shop accidentally dropped the bike, I asked viewers to guess how long they thought it was going to take MV Agusta to send 4 new body panels. Side fairing, front fairing, windscreen, and side mirror. Well, congratulations to viewer The Daily Ride, who was the closest. He guessed 3 months. It actually ended up taking 4 months for those 4 body panels to come in. And because it's MV Agusta, there's always a story. The first box came in after about 6 weeks, and it was the front fairing and the windscreen. Unfortunately, there was a manufacturing flaw in the windscreen that the shop could see through the plastic wrap. They said it looked like a solvent had dripped on the plastic, so it was this milky line running down the front of the windscreen. And clearly no one at MV Agusta noticed this before they stuck it in a box and shipped it to California. But the shop said you could clearly see it through the plastic wrap. So they were just shaking their heads as to why they would stick that part in a box and ship it out. So the shop had to order another one of those. 6 weeks later, another box comes, and it is the side fairing and a new windscreen. Luckily, the windscreen is perfect. No flaws. All right, we're doing good. But they send the wrong near fairing. It has the wrong logo on it. So the third box arrives about a month later, and it has the correct fairing and the side mirror. And yes, I am a little bit surprised that they sent the right fairing the second time, because longtime viewers of the channel will remember that when MV Agusta replaced my cracked fuel tank under warranty, they sent a tank that was the wrong logo and the wrong color, and they said that's the best that we can do, which is really their way of saying that's the best we will do. Yeah, I am pleasantly surprised that they actually were willing to go through the effort of sending the right part the second time. Christmas comes early this year, I guess. So all in all, 4 months for all the correct parts to come in. Like I mentioned, I've been getting killed at work, so I actually haven't had time to take the bike to the shop to switch out all the panels. But they are assuring me that they are the right panels finally. The plan is to get to the shop in the next week or so that they can switch out all the panels. And once I've done that, my new look Darth Vader F3 will be good to go. Now let's talk about the bodywork on the F4. That story is even more convoluted. After it tipped over while it was parked in some soft asphalt, it is finally back into shape. I wanted to file a claim with my insurance company, but they were making it so difficult and so much of a hassle that I ended up just paying out of pocket to get it fixed. One of the main sticking points was that my F4 in particular is one of the rare all-silver ones. Supposedly MV Agusta only made 300 of those, so that particular navy blue F4 outline logo, they don't make anymore. MV Agusta doesn't have them. Ugh, more logo issues. So of course the insurance company says, well, we don't know what to do. The second major hang-up was that if they're going to have to replace the rear seat anyway, I wanted to convert to a single-seater instead of a two-seater. And they considered that a customization and blah, 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 blah. And they were giving me the runaround. Oh, I missed my turn. And the third kind of major issue was that obviously MV Agusta doesn't have those seats in stock. So I was going to have the seat custom painted to match the rest of the bike. And I'd have to go to one of the insurance company's authorized painters. and there were like 2 who were authorized to do motorcycles, and they were booked out like 6 to 9 months. So it was just becoming such a hassle. I just decided to suck it up and pay for it myself. I can get exactly what I want, and I don't have to drag this process out for a year. Now this is actually a good lesson for people who are thinking about buying an MV Agusta, because MV Agusta is a small company, and I don't think most people realize how small of a company they are, because at some point you're going to need a part for it, and that really affects your level of service and parts. Okay. Do you know how many bikes Yamaha sold last year? And their sales were down like 20% because of COVID. They still sold almost 4 million bikes. But of course, they sell boatloads of those small displacement bikes that they lump in there, so maybe that's not a fair comparison. Do you know how many bikes BMW sold last year? And their sales were down because of COVID. They still sold 170,000 bikes. Guess how many bikes Ducati sold last year? Again, their sales were down, and they still sold 48,000 bikes. And do you know how many bikes MV Agusta sold, all models combined? 3,162. And yes, their sales were down too because of COVID, but yeah, that's pretty much a rounding error for Yamaha. So this is important because it shows you both the scale of the company and the resources they have for service and parts. And it also gives you a sense of the availability of used parts. So when something goes wrong with your MV, you have a few options. Just like any bike, you can buy a part from them, and they're going to charge you whatever they want to charge you for it, and they're going to send it whenever they want to send it. You can try to find an aftermarket part if you don't care about getting your bike back to stock, but there are not a lot of companies making parts for MVs. Compared to your options for a company like Yamaha or even Ducati, the options are slim. Since they sell so few bikes, it's just not worth it for companies to support them in the aftermarket. And your third option is to try to find it used. But again, MV Agusta doesn't sell a lot of bikes, so the pool of bikes out there that have been wrecked and parted out is not that large. So if you're going to go that route, you're probably going to have to be very patient and a little lucky for it to pop up on the used market. So I know you want to know what the damage was. The first thing was to get a new solo tail section, because I never take passengers on that bike, and I think the solo tail looks way better. You know, MV Agusta would have charged a fortune for a new old stock one, so I just decided to hang out on eBay every day, checking. And after about a month, one popped up from a F4 1000 that had been wrecked. It had a little bit of rash on it, but since it was going to get repainted anyway, I didn't think that was a big deal. That cost $330. The snapped clutch lever I could not find used. I tried. And why did I try so hard, you're asking? Because MV Agusta charges $153 for a new clutch lever. Ouch! That is probably 4 or 5 times what you would pay for an R6 lever. And the broken clip-on, could not find one used. So I eventually coughed up the money to get a new one from MV Agusta. $226. And of course I had to get the decals. I was able to buy most of them, but for that rare F4 outline logo, I actually had to find a printer in LA who would do the custom F4 decal, since MV Agusta doesn't make that one anymore. So in total, the decals cost about $100. I was able to find a car body shop that doesn't mind working on bikes, so they repaired the side fairing and painted everything to match. the rest of the bike. And I'd say they did a pretty good job, considering they couldn't find the MV Agusta paint code, so they just used their color matching machine, and that was $900. So adding up all the parts and the paint costs, the total came out to around $1,700. Eesh. Not cheap. Not cheap. But at least I got the bike exactly how I wanted it. And it didn't take a year, which is probably what it would have taken if I had gone through my insurance company. So I'm hoping that my recent round of bad luck with motorcycles is over and I can just enjoy them now. No more long delays between videos planned. So if you're interested in hearing more MV Agusta adventures, subscribe, and hopefully I will catch you on the next one.